Good morning, everyone. Good morning, India. Good morning, South Africa. This is Regenesys Business School, live from South Africa to our Mumbai offices. We have our teams online and participants have shown great interest to join us this morning to understand why study with Regenesys Business School. Regenesys Business School has been an institute in South Africa for almost 25 years. We're rated amongst the top 5 business schools in South Africa. We're a fully accredited institute with courses that range from a certificate in higher education for those that don't meet the entry requirements into our bachelor program. We have a year program that you could get onto to meet the requirements for a fully accredited degree in the Bachelor of Business Administration. Then follows into our honors program, the post-grad program, into the MBA program. Now, the Masters of Business Administration is offered, the accredited programs that I've just named is offered via our Mumbai Business School in Navi Mumbai. And we have an immersion program where students have the opportunity to study the first 2 semesters in Mumbai and then join us in South Africa. Without much ado, I'm going to hand over to our founder, Dr. Marko Saravanja, whose dream has been actualized into Regenesys Business School, to talk more about our value offering and philosophy of the business school. The format of this morning, it's an interactive session. There is a chat, so you're most welcome to post your questions while the speakers are facilitating, or you could wait for our Q&A session at the end of our academics, also highlighting their specific areas. We have 5 esteemed academics this morning that will talk to you about their areas of specialization, which will give you some in-depth of what to expect when you come to South Africa, as well as when you study in India. Without much ado, I'm going to hand over to Dr. Marko Saravanja.
Thank you, Indrani. I hope I'm audible.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm sure the main question in the mind of potential students and their parents is why Regenesys? Why Regenesys Business School, and why study in South Africa? So I will try to answer that question, and then we'll have an opportunity to ask questions and then provide answers. So South Africa in India is known as not really as an education destination. People in India know about South Africa because of cricket. I suppose there are quite a few good cricket players playing in South Africa. And people in India know about South Africa because of Gandhi, because Gandhi spent more than 20 years in South Africa. So actually he spent most of his life. And probably also because of BRICS alliance between South Africa and India. But South Africa has recently been discovered as a new education destination. Now, I would like to talk a little bit about that. Why South Africa? So South African education is recognized internationally. That's very important to understand. So with South African qualifications, students, they can get basically a job anywhere in the world. And they can get South African education at a much lower cost when compared to getting international education, for example, in UK or Dubai or Canada or America or Australia or New Zealand. So basically, getting international qualification at a fraction of cost, because the cost of education in South Africa is much lower, and also cost of living in South Africa is much lower. So why spend 2-3 times more money in these Western countries when you can get this education in South Africa, and then you still can get a job either in South Africa or in Dubai or Canada or America or Australia or New Zealand? Because with South African MBA, for example, you can get a job in those countries because it's recognized internationally. So it's really about value for money. So getting really high quality education at a very, very good cost. So a little bit more about South Africa. South Africa, for those of you who don't know much about South Africa and Africa, South Africa is one of the 54 countries in Africa. Africa as a continent has a population of 1.3 billion people. It's the size of India, more or less. And it is one of the faster growing parts of the world. So South Africa and Africa have a lot of potential, economic potential. in terms of job opportunities, in terms of entrepreneurship. And there are many, many Indian companies working in South Africa and South Africa. So more than 120 large Indian companies are based in South Africa. And from South Africa, they expand their operation across Africa. They set up their headquarters in South Africa. So for example, Tata's and Reliance and Ciplas and many mining companies are in South Africa and across different countries in Africa. So in terms of education model that we have developed for our Indian students, we really want to provide them with really, really international experience. So we have several options. So we have an option where students spend part of their studies in Mumbai, so they get exposure to really business world of Mumbai. And Mumbai is a commercial capital of India. Then we have an option where students do immersion in South Africa. So there are several options. They can spend 1 year in South Africa. They can spend whole degree studying in South Africa, or they can spend only 3 weeks, in South Africa. So they can get exposure to South African business world, and they can eventually graduate in South Africa. We have also option of Dubai. So students have option of studying in India, part of their studies, and then spending 1 week immersion in Dubai on the way to South Africa, and then 3 weeks or 1 year in South Africa. So by having experience of Mumbai as a commercial capital of India, and Dubai as a commercial capital of the Middle East, and Johannesburg as a commercial capital of South Africa, they really get global business exposure. And that really puts them in a competitive advantage as compared to millions of other students in India who enter higher education system and who enter job market. So by having this international experience of 2 or 3 countries and getting this international education at a low cost and high quality, that becomes a huge competitive advantage. So with our education, with our qualifications, Indian students are able to get jobs not only in South Africa or India, but also in Dubai and across the world. So one more thing I would like to say in terms of our education model, it is really flexible. Okay, so we really provide variety of options that suit different students. So those students who want to study full time, they can come to South Africa and study full time if they want to do their MBA or bachelor's degree. MBA takes about 2 years to complete. A bachelor's degree is about 3 years. Those students who want to study 11 months in India and then come and do 1 year in South Africa, they can also do that. And that's quite a advantageous option, because by studying in India, we prepare students in terms of their English language, in terms of their business, in terms of business world, to come and then study and complete their studies in South Africa. So we have also online learning, and we have a contact learning, and we have blended learning mode. Now, as a result of pandemic and lockdown, Regenesys has successfully transitioned to online learning. So we really have a variety of modes. So those people who would like also to get some part-time work experience, we help them in South Africa, and students have option of studying on Saturdays, or evenings, or during daytime, or online, or combination of those. So students who want to only study, they can only study. Students would like also get some work experience, earn some money also, they get those options. So that's really what I would like to say. So its bottom line is really about receiving quality education at a very reasonable cost. It's a really great value for money. So investment that our students and their parents make in education pays back multiple times in a very short space of time, within a few years. So, and that's what we have seen in last 5-6 years. Indian students, they get jobs. We have Indian students who completed their MBA in Johannesburg and got a job with IBM at 35 lakhs. So so that we have many examples like this of Indian students getting placed in South Africa or India or Dubai or across the world at very good salaries. Maybe just to say a little bit about Regenesys also, Indrani has mentioned, we are about 22 years old institution or young, and we are a very entrepreneurial institution. We have campuses in Mumbai and Nigeria and in South Africa. And we have over 200,000 students, or 2 lakh students who have passed through doors for the past 22 years from 190 countries from across the world. So Regenesys is truly international business school. And in terms of our relationship with corporates, with industries, we have done type of executive education courses for large multinational companies, just to name a few of them. For example, Microsoft, we have done a program for them in African countries. We have done also programs for companies like Coca-Cola and Mercedes-Benz and Walmart. And in India, we have done work for State Bank of India. So we have more than 1,000 corporate clients. So we do customized programs for them. And because of these relationships with our corporates, we are able to place our students. So for parents and for students, ultimate end result is really placement. And because of relationships we have developed over many years with the corporates, and because of our brand reputation, we're able to help our students to get jobs. As part of Regenesys group of companies, and we have about 10 companies in our group, we have a recruitment company called Dana Talent. And the purpose of this company is really to provide job opportunities to place our students. So in addition to providing education and qualification, we help our students with jobs, basically. So what we do, we run special programs, to work readiness programs. So we help them to prepare professional CV. We train them how to conduct interview, how to dress, how to answer questions, and we organize minimum 3 interviews with reputable companies for each of our students. So that's really in summary about who Regenesys is. I would not like this to be perceived as a marketing propaganda. I would like parents and students to ask questions, and then we can answer those questions, and we can engage, and we can build really trust. I know decision to send students to South Africa is a big decision, and I know also many of you are concerned about the crime situation in South Africa. I just want to reassure you that there's no problem. In South Africa, our business school is located in an area called Sandton in Johannesburg, which is a very affluent area. Sandton is the richest square mile of Africa. So where all multinational companies are located. So something comparable to Mumbai, BKC, Bandra Kurla complex. So where all large companies and large multinationals are located. So it's a very safe area, basically. Obviously, South Africa has some areas which are not safe, like every country and every city has. Understand, even Delhi is not safe, and there are low incidents of crime and other problems. In Mumbai, if you go to certain slum areas which are ruled by drug lords, it's not safe. So I've been in South Africa for the last 30 years. I'm sure some of you wonder about my accent. I was born originally in a country called Croatia, and some of you may know about Croatia because of soccer and football. Some of them are very good football players. But I've been in South Africa for the last 30 years, and I'm still alive and healthy and happy. So we help our students to really help them with security and education, and we brief them, we induct them, what to do, what not to do, so they have a safe and happy experience in South Africa. So that's really, in summary, I believe really South Africa is a great education destination. An investment that parents and students would make would pay multiple times in future. Okay, So that's from my side. I'm happy to answer any questions that parents may have. So over to you, Indrani.
Thank you, Dr. Marko Saravanja. That was quite a comprehensive background on Regenesys as well as South Africa as a destination, which I was also going to touch on. You know, I'm Indian-born South African, fourth generation. I'm quite safe in South Africa. So I think crime is really it's sensationalized across the world. And having traveled to India many, many times over, I really think it as a traveler, or a student, or a resident, it's just about common sense, and keeping yourself safe. But as Dr. Marko Saravanja touched on, we're in quite an affluent area in South Africa, as well as our student accommodation is 7 kilometers away from our campuses. So the suburb that the students stay on is also very, very safe and reasonably close to have in summer take a walk to our campus as well. But there is public transport available, as well as the local Uber that we have in South Africa as well, that you have in India. I'm going to now hand over to our academics. First in line is Dr. Abhinanda Gautam. Dr. Abhi, as we affectionately refer to her, has been in South Africa for 7 years with Regenesys. She's our academic head for postgrad studies, which covers the Master of Business Administration, the PDBM, and our doctorate program. Dr. Abhi holds 3 masters and a PhD. She has 18 years of experience in the world of academics. So why am I going on about Dr. Abhi and the rest of our academics? Because as parents, you want to know that your children are being educated by academics that are both influenced by industry as well as academia. And this is very close to the heart of Regenesys. One of the questions that I saw come up on the chat is South Africa has a high unemployment rate. How do we plan to get students jobs in South Africa? And I'm going to answer that after you've spoken to our academics, because really skills is the answer. So how do you skill yourself to move ahead of this race to get employment? Dr. Abhi, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Indrani. As Indrani said, she's an Indian-born South African. I'm a New Delhi girl. I am an Indian-born Indian. So guys, as Indrani said, that it's 7 years that I've been in South Africa, and I have been in here alone for 6 years. And I promise you guys, right? It all depends on you. If you are here smartly, nothing happens to you. As in India, I have 14 years of experience in India as well, in job and in corporate. It's just that it has to be the same, right? Same agility, same smartness, right? And same kind of intelligence you put in South Africa, and nothing stops you to grow. So I just want to talk about PDBM and MBA program, because it's been 4 batches that has already passed from South Africa, and it is all about networking skills. As Dr. Marko said, that when you enter in South Africa, this is a land of diversity and inclusion. So in case, and most of the students that have passed in last 4 batches are engineers, and they have done BBA, and after that PDBM plus MBA. For your information, it all falls in critical skills in South Africa. And if you possess PDBM plus MBA and the kind of BBA or the kind of undergrad studies that you have done, is a value added skill in South Africa. So it all depends. I'm not going to talk about academics. It's to tap about the placement question and a little bit of what you can do in here. So the moment you land in here, the kind of students in MBA that I have, as Dr. Marko said and Indrani said, that MBA students in South Africa, right, are the elitist, right, from CHROs to CEOs to all C-suite employees that you can think and imagine are our students. So you can imagine the kind of clientele base that we already have. It's all about how you network with them, right? And we have a lot of forums that keep on happening after every week, right? I'm not bragging. You can get into the website and see after every week we have forums, right? And those are HR forums. So people, and especially the chief human resource officers or vice president HRs are our keynote speakers. And after the forums, we give the opportunities to students to speak to them. So depending on your skill, and we create your extraversion skills, right? We grow you up to the level where you have the smartness and strength to go and speak to them and present yourself, right? And the kind of students, as I said, when you mingle them in class, then you have an ample of opportunities to get yourself placed. It's not only we push you, but you also get a lot of opportunities in there. So so guys, I believe the kind of design thinking approach that we have, because we are also one of the pioneer as well as ahead in educational market in terms of online marketing and online classes as well. So we treat you in a smart way that you learn online platforms, and it turns into your blood and system, guys. So so if you really want to turn smart and employable, come to South Africa. We will let you grow. All right, thank you, thanks a lot. Indrani, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Avi. That was quite quick and short, and to the point. I just want to get to our next speaker, who's Dr. Conrad van Grienen. Dr. Conrad's been with Regenesys before and joined us again. He's our head of faculty in accounting sciences, and I'll allow him to take you through his journey of PhD and why join Regenesys specifically in his field. Over to you, Dr. Conrad.
Thank you. Thanks, Indrani. Hello, everybody. Good morning. I'm Dr. Conrad, and I manage the Regenesys Bachelor of Accounting Science qualification. So not to repeat anything that my colleagues already said in terms of employment and all the other stuff, just to take you through the qualification specifically. I know you guys are probably concerned about placement and getting jobs, and yeah, rightfully so. So this qualification specifically, the Bachelor of Accounting Science qualification, is not only a very good qualification in terms of the earnings potential that it offers, but also the skills that you will learn, as Abby and Indrani also have mentioned already. The skills that you will learn will offer you the flexibility to basically obtain employment in almost any industry. So remember, competent graduates with financial skills will always be in constant demand. And this qualification then specifically, as with the other qualifications or some of our other qualifications, targets individuals that want to pursue a career in a financial field in particular. So not only is this qualification, like our other qualifications, also well aligned to what the industry require, but it also stands out that it pays and places particular attention and emphasis on conscious leadership, integrated reporting, sustainability, and so forth, that we all know is desperately needed in both the public and private sectors. So in terms of this qualification and whether you qualify for this qualification, you can consult any of our sales representatives. And this qualification is also accredited by the Council on Higher Education and registered on the South Africa qualifications framework on a level 7. So this is the NQF 7 qualification that will actually give you entry into our postgraduate qualifications as well. So remember, guys, an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. So invest in this qualification and in Regenesys to secure your financial future. Thank you.
Thank you, Conrad. Much appreciated. I'm now going to move on to Dr. Dennis Laxton. Dr. Laxton is both a businessman and an academic. He's worked in he covers projects, operations, reframing organizations. He has a master's in business leadership and an MBA from Australia that focuses on finance, strategy, and ICT. Dr. Laxton, let me not take your thunder away. Over to you. And I hope you're going to be your animated self today. Put on your, take it off mute, Dr. Laxton.
Okay, guys, good morning.
Morning.
All right. Hi. So I just want to tell you about why you would want to come to South Africa and why you'd want to actually study here. I've studied various things. I started off and I actually started off in the trade. So I paid through for my engineering studies. I'm actually a qualified mechanic, and I actually used to work with VW and Toyota, and I know Tata well. I still work a lot with guys from Tata. I used to also do vehicle design, and I started with my engineering training in Nissan, and I studied marketing. And while I was studying, I then did an MBL and an MBA, and I got sponsored in Australia to do one of their masters. And then also what happened is I've been in industry for a long time. I've run factories. I was involved with Nestle worldwide. I've set up a lot of Nestle factories. I've run operations and run factories. I've also done a lot of my training was done with the Japanese. I worked for companies like Topi Limited, which is one of the biggest Japanese companies in South Africa. I've worked with Nissan. I've worked with Audi, qualified at VW. I've worked with them in design. I actually worked on the Nissan Skyline years ago, setting up the factory on that, and the Bucky, when the robotics was still very simple. And then I've also come from a strong marketing background, studied IMM and that. So a lot of my learning has been, the way I got into education is, when I used to run factories, I used to believe one of the things you do is you empower the workers with knowledge, because if workers have got knowledge, you won't have problems in the workplace. And my one biggest problem is we had a problem in the mines, and we were doing undercast mining, and I was called into a board meeting with one of the big international companies, and I took all the operators into the boardroom. And they were asking, well, why am I bringing the operators? And I said, because these are the guys who do the work. These are the guys who can solve your problem. So I used to believe in training the people. And I think in South Africa, one of the advantages is we've got a very, very diverse background. So if you look at the cultures in South Africa, you can go to a lot of industries and you'll see multicultural. And like if you go to Durban, where I've got a place as well, Durban is one of the biggest areas with the Indian population outside of India. So basically what happens is it's a very multicultural, very, very diverse place, very good to study, because you can learn a lot, because we've got a lot of international companies here. And if you join them, you've got a lot of scope, because there's a lot of international links to companies, and it's across all sectors. So South Africa, the way to actually get into the job market is people are really looking for hands-on practical skills, which Regenesys focus a lot on. So like in the courses, one of the things we focus on is integrating the different modules. So when you come out, you get a holistic approach. And then on top of that, you also learn about handling emotional intelligence, the spiritual intelligence, handling people in the company, because that's the hardest part. And being in industry, one of the interesting things that stuck with me is I worked at Nissan for a while, and there was always a guy in a dust coat, and they would have their name on their overall. And I spoke to the one guy and I said to him, what do you do in Japan? He said, no, I'm a senior manager. And I said to him, why are you in a dust coat? What's your role in Japan? And he said to me, my job is to make sure that people are happy. Because if the people are happy, you're not going to have labor problems. And that's one of the lessons I learned from the Japanese guys. And I think that is one of the things I think Regenesys also stands for, is you argue a lot, you debate, but I think at the end of the day, you've got to work as a team. And I think that's the difference in South Africa, is there's a lot of teamwork. And although South Africa might have a lot of unemployment, there's not really that much, as they say, because there's a lot of informal businesses. There's a lot of technical skills out there. So you might find people say, right, people are unemployed, but they're not. You might go to a guy and he's got in his backyard, he's got a workshop, and that guy might be making, they're talking about in the United Nations, there's something like about over 500 million around, just like in one of our areas alone, in townships. So like Dr. Marko said, Sandton was actually originally a farm, and it's now become the richest square mile in Africa. So Africa, and if you look at what they're doing now, they're looking at creating the city of Joburg, and they're developing Joburg. They've also developing Durban. They're developing Durban into almost like a Dubai, a waterfront in Dubai. So if you look at the development in places like Durban waterfront, there's something like I think it's 150 billion invested in that waterfront. So South Africa in the future is going to be poised as one of the big hubs. And also one of the big things in Africa that people don't understand why South Africa is growing is we are the gateway to Africa. So logistics and supply chain, which is one of my specialities when we work with them, there's a huge future for technical logistics, supply chain, operations and finance, because there's no ways you can export from Africa unless you come through South Africa, because we're at the tip. So you can go up to Namibia, you can go up to Mozambique, you can go, and Mozambique is our closest competition. And that's why we've got a bridge going across there. So South Africa, there's a lot of, in the next maybe 10 years, it's going to probably be one of the highest growth countries. Because if you can go on and you can look at the web, but go onto the internet and look at the waterfront in Durban, multi-billion rand project with internationals. Go to Umhlanga, one of the richest squares in Durban. You go to Sandton. And I think people look at crime, but I think it depends on the area. And the majority of South Africa is very, very safe. So I think the learning experience you'll get in South Africa when you work in companies, I think when you work in companies, there's a lot of international. And I know, for example, when I worked on a project in Nestle, setting up some factories, we had teams from every country in the world. So that kind of experience you cannot gain in a lot of other countries.
Thank you, Dr. Laxton. I think you've covered extensively, and you're so passionate about South Africa and the opportunity for jobs as well. Thank you for that. I'm just, in terms of time, I'd just like us to go back into, we've had at least 10 students that have just joined us while you were speaking. So I think I just want to cover a little bit more about Regenesys introduction for the students that have joined us very late. So welcome. Thank you, Dr. Laxton. Welcome everyone that's just joined us at 8:30 this morning, our time. So I think that's midday for you. So good afternoon, Mumbai. Thank you for taking time on your Sunday to join us and connect with us in South Africa. My name is Indrani Reddy. I'm South African based and traveling to Mumbai next week. So happy to meet any one of you that would love to get a dose of Regenesys South Africa in our Mumbai office. And I'm really looking forward to being in country as well. So a bit about Regenesys. We've been in existence for over 20 years. Dr. Marko Saravanja, who's online with us this morning. Thank you, Dr. Marko, for sacrificing your Sunday to be with us as well today, and all our academics, Dr. Abby, Dr. Conrad, Dr. Laxton, and Dr. Serbi, who's in Mumbai, that we're going to touch base with shortly. And a little bit about Regenesys quickly for those that have just joined. It's been an institute for over 20 years in existence. It's really based on the philosophy of combining IQ, EQ, and spiritual quotient. So our vision is really about gifting the world conscious leaders. We can only change the world one individual, one mind, one heart at a time when we connect and we transform ourselves. Now, we talk about this all the time, but how phenomenal to be able to connect to an institute that is able to put a methodology behind this, to be able to put academics behind this. And it's not just a philosophy. You know, living in South Africa for all of my life, and having worked with Regenesys now and a director at Regenesys in a few of the businesses, and one of them is Denanda Talent. So our recruitment company, I head up Denanda Talent. And earlier this year, when I connected with our Mumbai office, we had some 19 students that hadn't as yet found jobs in South Africa. And within 3 weeks, we were able to place them. So we talk high unemployment rate as a country, but what differentiates Regenesys? It's the networking that Dr. Abbey spoke about. Over the last 20 years, we have served many government institutes in South Africa, many multinational companies and JSE listed companies. And this network gives us access to clients who want to partner with Regenesys. To find jobs within 3 weeks is a record breaking in South Africa with the unemployment rate that people have touched on before. And this can only happen because of credibility of the institute, credibility of our students. And so the companies in South Africa look forward to receiving our students because of the caliber that we churn out with moral leadership as well as IQ. I'm going to hand over now to Dr. Surbi, who's based in Mumbai, and she'll just touch on our Mumbai experience. Welcome, Dr. Surbi.
Thank you, Indrani. Good afternoon, everyone in India. Namaste. It's a pleasure to connect with you all today. And I see a lot of your concerns in the chat. My colleagues have touched upon very important aspects about what Regenesys is, what it stands for, what are its basic principles on which we operate. I want to just add to this in terms of how this is beneficial to you. You as an individual come to us seeking a brilliant career. You want to go for self-development. You look for holistic development. And that is what Regenesys is all about. If you visited our website, you would see it always says awakening potential. And that is what we truly are all about. Every student gets individual attention. We make sure we have a goal setting system. We make sure the areas that you lag in throughout the course of the education that you're with us, we work on that specifically for you. We provide additional skill enhancement classes, business communication classes, personality development classes, and a lot of skill addition in terms of courses like digital marketing, artificial intelligence, and whatnot. Now, what this does is you become more confident as a person. You become more skilled. You're upskilling yourself. And then it leads you to be in that area of students which are in high demand. You become, in South Africa, there's a critical skills visa. The reason because South Africa has unemployment is because there's lack of skill. But if you become a skilled individual through this education, you gain the skills that are required in that country, people welcome you with open arms. Yeah. I'm not going to touch upon the networking that Indrani and Dr. Abhi have already spoken about, but that just helps. You have people who are willing to welcome you, and you are getting ready with all of the skills that they need in you as a person. And this gap filling is what Regenesys does for you. It's critical for Indian parents to see that their child is going in for a career or an education that will make them financially stable. I understand that. Fee is a concern for parents, and also people in South Africa are students in South Africa are very independent. They start working as soon as they finish their schooling. In India, the system is a little different. We are pampered by our parents until we finish our graduation, post-graduation, only then we start working. And we understand that. We understand that difference. And what we do is we make you work ready. We actually have systems, workshops, and series in place which work upon work readiness. And what it does for you is it prepares you as an individual to step into a world that is ready to welcome you. Yeah. The pandemic has created a lot of unsurety, a lot of issues. You are unclear of what the business scenario is going to be like. The good news is just like the recession that we had faced in 2008, and we took about 1.5 years to recover. By the time you're done with your MBA, the economy would be back in full gear. It would be revved, and a lot of gates would be open for you guys to enter into the job market. So this is the right time for you to go into an MBA that gives you immense exposure, that gives you cultural sensitivity, that develops you holistically, and overall awakens your potential. If you guys have any questions, please post them on the chat. We will address them. And I think that's all from my side. Indrani, back to you.
Thank you so much, Surbi. I'm going to hand over again to Dr. Marko, and I think I would like him to touch on why continue studying in the pandemic. Do we put our lives on hold, or do we continue? And I'd like that to be the kickoff of the next discussion, Dr. Marko, and then we'll take it from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Indrani. So our success in life very much depends on continuous learning. Learning is our competitive advantage. To succeed in this new digital world, we can succeed only if we continue to learn. And that is what Regenesys really provides. So Regenesys provides life-changing experience. I believe through our methodology or content or exposure that our students receive, their lives get changed, forever after that, They get changed on different levels, on intellectual level, on emotional level, on spiritual level, on physical level even. So intellectual level, the students get exposure to latest knowledge. They get exposure to best faculties across the world. We have lectures. If you look at last few years, we had lectures from Harvard University. Harvard University lectured on strategy. We had lectures from MIT and from Stanford University, lecture on innovation. So we also exposure to leading corporate minds, as Dr. Abhinanda mentioned earlier. We have an event at Regenesys, and we get top CEOs of leading multinational companies interacting with our students, presenting on latest trends in their industries. And we get opportunity to our students to interact with these faculties. We have on our foundation, on our board, several very successful business people and entrepreneurs who are billionaires. And we get them also to talk to our students. So students' interaction with successful people, with CEOs, with international faculty, with successful business people and entrepreneurs, they develop their own confidence, self-esteem. They get inspired, and these are great role models for them to interact and to engage with. So literally, their lives really get changed, because not just intellectually, but also emotionally. By traveling to another country, students break their own fears. By traveling to South Africa, by traveling to Dubai and getting that international exposure, it becomes a competitive advantage as compared to millions of other students who study only in India and don't have that international exposure. I believe traveling is very important. In my own life, I've been very lucky and blessed and privileged. I've traveled to more than 80 countries. Every time I travel to a new country, literally, I see new civilization, new culture, and I break my own fears. And by breaking our own fears, we awaken that potential, which is deep within us. So Regenesys' philosophy is really about awakening that potential which we believe in exists in every student. We believe that every student has a greatness, there's a divinity, there's special talent in every student. And there's a genius which is waiting to be awakened. So the role of Regenesys is really to awaken that genius in our students, to help them to break their own fears, to think big, to think about starting their own businesses, to think about creating jobs, to think of being employers, not employees. And South Africa is a land of opportunities, as Dr. Abhi mentioned, because South Africa is going through big change, and because South Africa is the richest country in Africa, of continent of 1.3 billion people. There are tremendous opportunities, but especially for those who are entrepreneurially minded. So it's much easier to succeed, in South Africa and Africa than in India. From my own experience, India is hyper competitive, and it's not easy to succeed in India. So those are really some of the reasons I believe you should really consider studying at Regenesys. I believe Regenesys provides, again, high quality education, life-changing education at a low price, provides international job opportunities, and also for those who are entrepreneurially minded, there are great entrepreneurial opportunities, not only in South Africa, but in India, Dubai, and across the world. And so that's really what I would like to say, and I would like to reassure students and parents at Regenesys. We really take seriously every student. Okay, we treat students with respect. We understand decision to study with Regenesys involves a lot of risk, and parents invest their life savings in the future of their children. So we don't take that lightly. We really respect it, and we ensure that investment, is paid off multiple times, in a very short space of time. So that trust is very important, and that's why I'm here to reassure parents and students. That's why we have faculty, senior faculty, on Sunday morning to reassure you also. So that's what I would like to say. Indrani, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Marko. Dr. Abby, there was a few questions that you wanted to reply to. I'm going to hand over to you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Indrani. Okay, so there was a question, there's 60% unemployment rate. First of all, that's hugely skewed data, my dear. That is why you must do MBA, right? It's 29.1% something. And recently there was a post, and that was again a very skewed data. And another post was that this was wrong information. Highest ever was 42%. But also we need to track it down, right? That why 29.1% or 42% that people are been talking about. It is including people that are not skilled. So you being the student, maybe the undergrad student, is already in the skilled lot of South Africa. So just go and study what is the unemployment rate of skilled people in South Africa, right? It's negligible, first of all. So so once you're gonna come to South Africa for PDBM or MBA, you're already in the skilled lot. Okay, so that is not more than 3 to 5% in case you are skilled. Then the other thing is that in terms of association, as someone has asked that, what about the associations, and am me being a student, should I be responsible for placement? The answer is no, definitely no. And I would like to tap on some of the associations that we have, right? First of all, you being an Indian must definitely be interested in Indian Associationship of South Africa, Regenesys Business School. We are deeply associated with CII, Confederation of Indian Industry, and Indian Business Forum. The president is our day-to-day acquaintant, right? He's almost there, almost. General Secretary of South Africa used to sit for 2 years in Regenesys Business School itself. And the kind of placement that we have done for the last 4 years for the batches of students, for your information, in last quarter itself of 2019 last quarter, right? 7 billion rand have been invested by Indian companies, Indian MNC in South Africa. And they, being a subsidiary, are not as regulated in terms of having only South African people or employees, and they are very much open to hire Indian students. So through CII and IBF, we have placed a lot of Indian students in Indian MNCs. All right, so like Mahindra, like Tata, these are the big names that you can resonate, and there are students of Regenesys Business School that are placed in there as full-time students. Right, so I think that it's not only on you, right? We take full responsibility and accountability to associate you with different bodies, not only South African companies, but Indian companies. In terms of, I'll just touch base with your academic association as well. Recently, we have been associated with one of the huge brands of Australia. The brand is RMIT Australia, and they are in touch with MBA students. So we are in touch with MBA students of RMIT Australia, and they also are in touch with students of MBA South Africa, right? So when you are in touch with such huge brands and present yourself in those associations, definitely the chances of being spotted is much higher, right? And you get the exposure and understanding, right? Being associated with such high brands. So yeah, I understand the skeptical thought process, but you just need to explore yourself and take risk, right, in order to grow your potential, awaken your potential, guys. This is the land of opportunities. In case you are skilled, nothing is stoppable. You will be unstoppable. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Abby. I feel we've confidently answered all the questions that have been posted on the chat. There were a few that just private messaged me for one-on-ones, which I've responded to with my email address to set up appointments. Our sales team will be in touch with you, and our marketing team, to be able to capture all your details. There was an email address as well, so we'd really welcome you to send us your details. For the details that we have, we'd love to connect with you after this Zoom call one-on-one. there's one area that I would like to touch on as well from a support perspective. Over and above our academics that will support you in class, we have personal program advisors that's dedicated to every program and every student in our institute. So when you come to South Africa, I think that immersion is also can be quite overwhelming and intimidating. When you're young and leaving home for the first time and coming into a country, especially in Africa, where you hear about all this crime, and it sounds like going into a jungle with the big five, right? But that's not on our streets. Those are in nature reserves. But so what did the personal program advisors do? Certainly don't keep the big five away from you, but they really handhold you through the process. Our entire institute is about this. And whilst this is not supposed to be a marketing spiel, I think we come from a place of being passionate about our brand and having witnessed students being handheld, loved and cared for through their journey with us. I'm just busy admitting more students as I speak. And it's very close to our heart. It's close to our heart, not because you need to pass. It's close to our heart because that's our vision. Our vision is really about impacting the world. And we can only do it through you, one student at a time. And we have the support around that to make this transition and immersion in South Africa one that's comfortable for you, one that's safe for you, and one that makes you feel secure during your journey of studying with us. It isn't just about this journey of 2 years or a year or 3 years or 5 years if you go the whole route with us. We have an alumni of 190,000 in 20 countries that we still host. Dr. Abby spoke about the events that we have weekly across the world that we broadcast to. And this is really tapping into our alumni that walk the rest of their lives with us. And that's what we invite you to. We invite you to a world of opportunities with Regenesys as a medium to get you to your highest potential, starting with whichever qualification you choose to right now, but to be able to take a step in the right direction to unlock your potential that's already within you. Wisdom is within all of us, but we all need catalysts along the way to just get there a little bit faster. And so why not choose an institute that magnifies spiritual quotient, that magnifies emotional quotient, that magnifies IQ that's available in any institute. So those are our differentiators. We have a wellness center. Dr. Marko spoke about the 10 businesses that surround us. And really the proof is in the pudding. So whilst we speak SQ, we also have a wellness center that balances out what you learn in class to be able to practically immerse yourself in holistic wellness. We have Denanda Talent that is your partner in gaining recruitment. We have a restaurant on site that provides healthy food, vegan, vegetarian food to our students. And for those that are feeling restricted with that, we provide non-veg food as well. Yes, so we look forward to connecting with you. Is there anyone else that would like to contribute? Dr. Abby.
Yeah, sorry, Indrani, I think we have missed one question regarding PhD employment or what you are going to be benefited with if you complete your DBM. So we offer DBM program, just for your information, in OECD countries. Hope you know OECD, other economic development countries, right? There are 37 countries, 70 countries are silent partners, 107 overall. So in 2015, South Africa was the lowest, right, standing at the lowest position, or the last position where in terms of number of PhDs. So allow me to use that term, please. I'm an academic still. If you're a PhD, you are the hot cake of South Africa, right? So I'm not sure whether you are looking for employment in South Africa or in India, but if you complete your DBM from South Africa, people will be hungry to have you, right, in the organization. So because of the very few number of PhD programs that are being offered by the elite institutions, Regenesys is one of them. So don't be bothered about employment. Complete your DBM. I'm sure 100 companies would be looking for you. Yeah, that's it from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Abby. From all of us in South Africa and Mumbai, thank you very much for joining us on this Sunday morning going into the afternoon. We're very appreciative of you giving us your time and the opportunity to learn more about us and make that life-changing decision for yourself. We believe we're the right institute for you, and I look forward to connecting with you, with many of you next week and the weeks to come while I'm in Mumbai as well. So namaste, namaskaram, vanakkam. Thank you very much. Anyone else? I think we're all good. Okay, have a lovely Sunday afterwards. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Indrani.
Thank you. Bye.
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 Thank you.